A broad rally in the semi space today with all 25 components of the SMH ETF positive, led by Micron, Nvidia, and NXP, all up about 2.5%. Now, this comes as the White House plans for a meeting tomorrow with industry leaders in an attempt to address the chip shortages that have hampered other industries. But what do these companies actually need to get these all-important chips out the door? Let's ask an industry leader. Joining me now is Renee James, founder and CEO of the chip manufacturer Ampere Computing. Renee, it's great to have you. I know you're really focused on solving this issue. What do you think the focus will be at this confab tomorrow? And how, I mean, we've been talking about this issue for a year now. And we have, some people who come on and say, they point the finger at companies saying they should have had this figured out by now. And everyone's blaming each other and pointing the finger. And now the U.S. government wants to spend a bunch of money to try and solve it. But what do you think really needs to be done?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Kelly. I think we had a perfect storm in semiconductors, and all morning we've been talking about shortages from labor and shipping issues. It's hitting every industry, so it's not unique to semis. What is unique to semiconductors is unprecedented demand. And, as many of your guests, as you pointed out, I went back and watched every segment on this topic that's been on CNBC for a long time. And we had an unprecedented demand. And through the pandemic, I think the industry as a whole thought that perhaps demand would taper. It didn't taper. It, in fact, grew. It's not cyclical. It's sustained demand. That's great news for semis. Unfortunately, to lay in more capacity takes, 18 to 24 months. So we're into it in some sectors, depending on the kind of semiconductor we're talking about. Things are beginning to ease towards the end of the year. In high performance, like what we build at Ampere, these, large high performance chips, it's going to be another 18 months probably of tightening. And it's up and down the supply chain. It's not one piece. So what you asked a great question. What are we going to do tomorrow? We're going to talk about what we're going to do for the long-term health of U.S. semiconductors, which is very important. I'm really pleased that this administration has been able to pass in the Senate a bipartisan approach with the CHIPS Act. I'm looking forward to that appropriation. Tomorrow, what we're going to talk about is the improved data collection and transparency required to understand what the real root cause issues are and what we need to put in place.
Let me ask, I wonder, Renee, are we making too much of a pandemic, right? Do we need to have a complete, is the answer to what happened that we had a global pandemic, an unprecedented situation to deal with, and everyone's scrambling to catch up? I mean, is it that simple, or did this somehow reveal other flaws that we have an opportunity now to fix?
I think both. I think what we thought was that I think this demand signal might have been read incorrectly in 2019 and 20. And in addition to that, it uncovered the fragility of the supply chain for semiconductors worldwide and the decline in U.S. manufactured semis, which, as you know, is not just a supply chain issue, it's also a national security issue for us. So, one of the things that companies like mine, a small company, a startup only 4 years old, however, I've been in this business for over 30 years, we know that there's some systemic long-term things that we need to go after to build the health of U.S. semiconductors. And that is what the Commerce Department is focused on talking with all of us about tomorrow and working on over the next 5 years. I mean, this is not a short-term thing. It's something we need to get after as a national agenda.
Yeah. Final question then. What does financial support, which I presume this is from the U.S. government, do to change what would otherwise be the private sector scrambling to do this on its own?
Yeah, I think that in order to do this properly, it's going to take a lot of private sector work, more so than any government assistance. What I think government assistance does is makes it a national priority, helps to shape the agenda of where we put monies, and in key places for R&D and smaller companies, and even for some of the specialized areas of manufacturing, can really assist in getting money moving in the right direction. So I think the agenda of how this money gets spent is quite important. I think that it's going to end up being a public-private partnership to get the magnitude of spending that need be done, but it's important. It's important because now we're having the right conversation, and it's cross-industry conversation. It's not just any one company.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a preview of it and the stakes as well. Renee, it's great to have you here today.